KTN Prime. Now, Prime Cabinet Secretary and the Cabinet Secretary for Foreign Affairs, Musalia Mudavadi, says the country is in the right trajectory in recovery to the economy and development. The Prime Cabinet Secretary has assured Kenyans of the reconstitution of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission early 2025 to pave way for the 2027 election preparation. In an exclusive interview with our senior political affairs reporter, Daniel Kariuki, Musalia Mudavadi has urged Kenya to criticize the government, or rather has urged Kenyans to criticize the government based on facts. Listen in.
All right, thank you very much for joining us. We are joined by the Prime Cabinet Secretary and also the Cabinet Secretary for Foreign Affairs, Musalia Mudavadi, as we recap 2024 and how it has been in matters to do with the government achievements, as well as what the government is planning also for 2025. And I'm joined by Prime Cabinet Secretary. Thank you very much for joining us here on KTN News.
Thank you, Bwana Karaoke.
Right. And definitely we get into the 2024. We recap the 2024 year, and what will be your general reflection of 2024? How has it been for the government?
Well, it has been a year of mixed successes and also some challenges. But by and large, an extremely challenging year. But if I pick up just maybe from a diplomatic perspective,
right?
This is a year where the President of Kenya made a state visit, the first one in 20 years, for an African leader to Washington. This was in May, when he made the state visit to the U.S. Following the invitation of President Biden. That was a very, very significant occasion. We have also seen a situation where this government has received very many different heads of state and world leaders. Over and above that, the President has this year also made a trip to China under the FOCAC arrangement. So he has had some very significant events. We have also seen the events that have profiled Kenya when it came to collaborating with the World Bank.
How would you rate the government in the 2 years and some few months that they have been in power? Definitely, you as the Prime Cabinet Secretary, have you performed to the best of what you had promised Kenyans?
I can tell you that the government has made the tough decisions. We took over, and I, for instance, was very, very categorical that Kenyans must brace themselves for a fairly difficult moment, because the state of the economy was not too good. And we will see a difficult 2 to 3 years. I kept on repeating that. You go to Parliament on the Hansard, I repeated it, and it has come to pass.
This year, 2024, actually has been the year that we saw a lot happening, especially to do with the events of June 25th, when there were demonstrations across the country, and we saw the Gen Zs they were saying they occupy Parliament, and Parliament was invaded. How would you recall that, and how would you talk about those events of 25th June, and how did they affect the government?
They did affect the government seriously. First of all, I know it was unfortunate that Parliament was invaded, but before I address myself to that, let me reiterate that the government of Kenya will continue to protect people's freedoms and their right to demonstrate, to picket, and we want them to do it within the conformity of the law. So we will never run away from that. That is our constitution. We must defend it. We must embrace it. But clearly, our constitution does not also say invade parliament or destroy people's properties.
We've seen you act in different ministries after President William Ruto dissolved the cabinet. You are left to hold brief in almost all the ministries, actually. And even right now, you're still holding brief in the Ministry of Interior and Coordination of Government. How has it been? How have you managed?
Don't forget gender.
And gender, yes, and gender. And
yes.
Still you have your Foreign Affairs
Yes,
Ministry, and
yes.
also you are the Prime Cabinet Secretary. How are you maneuvering in this situation? And then when the President dissolved the cabinet, how did you maneuver? How did you manage to hold brief in so many ministries?
Karaoke, that comes with experience. And there is nothing that can replace experience.
Right.
Kwa Kiswahili wanasema tajriba.
Tajriba.
Because I entered public space at the age of 29. I've been able to serve as a member of parliament and then also served in government. I've won elections and I've also lost elections, right? But when it comes to how a government runs and what should be done, that experience comes into play. And this is how I was able to be of assistance to the president, because during that period when he wanted to make changes and he dissolved his cabinet, the constitution, first of all, is very clear. He and the deputy president cannot be ministers or cannot be cabinet secretaries. So constitutionally it was necessary for me to be there because there are gazette notices that have to be handled. There are certain things that a cabinet secretary has to do on behalf of the government.
Right. This 2024 also is a year that has seen a lot of criticism to the government. Kenyans have been, especially on social media and also other platforms, we've seen even religious leaders, other leaders criticizing the government on various issues, including maybe deals that the government has entered. In that case, using like an example of the Adani deals and also some of the projects that have the government is embarking on, and also what has to do with taxes. Say there that the taxes have gone up, and during the Jamhuri Day celebrations, the president said that most of these critics are not speaking from the facts. From where you sit as the Prime Cabinet Secretary, does the government maybe feel like they're being criticized too much by Kenyans?
Well, you know, that is the benefit.
And maybe the government is...
That's the benefit of a vibrant media and a free society and an open society. People are speaking their minds. So, the government of Kenya, the Kenya Kwanza government, is upholding the constitution and allowing people to speak. It's up to you. Take a plane or take a train or jump across the border to any of their countries. Tell me if you will come across the same kind of freedom of expression and vibrancy that you are seeing here. Let us be honest with each other. I don't think you'll get it. I'm not naming any country, but I don't think you'll get it. We are taking it for granted. But in government, we don't. We value the criticism. It may be painful. And it's usually painful if it is not fact-based. Can we deny that if you went to Mukuru here, there's construction taking place? And let me give you, on a lighter note, for instance, just to give you on a thing like this. I think the president of Gambia went to visit
Mukuru, yes.
Mukuru.
Saturday.
Now, when I looked at the papers, then I said, sometimes these things are interesting. The cameraman, the photographer, just decided to blow up the picture of the president and the minister. The cameraman did not want to show the houses that are being built. So they don't want Kenyans to see that there's something real going on. Why would a president come 9 hours from Gambia, fly to Cameroon 5 hours, fly another 4 hours to Nairobi to say he wants to go and see the housing program of Kenya? Why is Shelter Afrique, a continental body of the African Union, recognizing that Kenya is onto a very serious agenda to deal with the housing crisis? Why are we Kenyans becoming more doubting Thomases in our own case? Don't you think we are overblowing it? So criticism is okay, all right? But we also have a right to express our concerns.
Right, and as we wrap up, let's get a bit to politics,
yes.
Just a bit,
Okay.
because 2024 has had high-octane politics, you would say that. We've seen the former deputy president, Rigathi Gachagua, impeached. We've seen President William Ruto campaign for Raila Odinga, who have actually brought on board several ODM members into the cabinet. And also recently, the president was in Gatundu, Shaweri, to meet with former President Uhuru Kenyatta. And is it that the president is also trying to balance to ensure that he holds to power without any kind of, he stabilizes politically in the country?
I think the president is doing a good job. But when you look at the oath of the president and what his remit would be, I think one of the things that would be in his remit is to maintain peace, safeguard peace, ensure there is security, make sure that there's an economy that is growing, and make sure that there's harmony in the country. It is his job. It is within his remit. And therefore, how does he do it? Different presidents will do it differently. But he has chosen to reach out to members of the opposition.
Former President Uhuru Kenyatta coming into the limelight, maybe does it say anything, matters politics? Because he has not been seen for quite some time, and right now he's being seen in the limelight to some heat.
I think there could have been other reasons why he was not in the limelight, okay? And that I will not go into. Maybe it's for him to talk to that. But remember, for instance, President Uhuru former President Uhuru the retired President Uhuru is also the person who is championing on behalf of the East African community the part of the Nairobi Peace Initiative for DRC and Rwanda. And the president of Kenya is William Ruto. For those regional peace initiatives, surely, don't you think they should work together?
Right, and festivities are here. Maybe what do you tell Kenyans as they enter into the Christmas mood?
First of all, I want to wish them a prosperous Christmas, a happy Christmas, and a very prosperous 2025. And tell them that let us remain patriotic, so that we can forge ahead and build this nation effectively together. I also want to tell them that we will do all that it takes to make sure that the security challenges during this period are well managed, so that the freedoms and their rights are not trampled upon. So this is what we we look forward to. This is what I look forward to. But most important is to tell Kenyans, be proud of your country.
That has been the Prime Cabinet Secretary, Musalia Mudavadi, just having a recap of 2024 and what we look forward to 2025. On behalf of KTN News, my name is Daniel Karaoke.
Coming up, farmers turn to traditional knowledge and practices